Now we move on to our next session, which is a panel discussion on customer service experience remains at the top of the funnel. In this session, the speaker will discuss the importance of customers' experience and loyalty.
Thank you so much, folks. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for everybody to be here. I think what we'll do is we'll quickly start off. I think in the words of Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, right? People will forget what you did, but people will not forget the way you made them feel. Essentially, I think that's the essence of the discussion today. We've basically gathered here to evaluate how customer experience has to be brought to the forefront of the marketing funnel and how it can actually truly leave a lasting impression when it comes to your customers, right? So I think we'll start off looking at how has basically the role of customer service evolved in the era of digital marketing, and why do we feel it is crucial and essential to place it at the top of the funnel, right? So maybe, Mousumi, I'll start with you. Thanks.
Hello. Yeah, hi. So let's start with what the traditional format was, right? When you look at the traditional marketing, it used to be, grab the attention of the customer, get his interest going. And once you've done that, then he or she will have the desire to buy the product and then, of course, act upon it. But times have changed. It's no longer the traditional format of awareness, consideration, and boom, they've bought it. Having said that, what has changed? When you look at the digital space, it's an example I'd like to illustrate. Whether it is, anybody that you can think of, a millennial or a, digital native or somebody in Gen Y, everyone is doing one thing. Before purchase, they are looking for social proof. They are reading reviews. And every one of you sitting in this room, from buying on Swiggy maybe a meal, booking a restaurant, going for a holiday, even buying, forget about phone. Phone is far more expensive. But the smallest of things, you're going to check out the review before you purchase. So what has changed? What has been the dynamics that's changed? The need for confidence before purchase. So while IDA was very good earlier, there is an intervention before acting, which is the level of confidence through social proof. I think, how does social proof get established? That's where service orientation of each and every company represented here and elsewhere becomes the strong point, the center point. Anything that you goof up in terms of service has the potential of getting magnified, has the potential reach of millions of customers getting aware of what you did wrong, how you wronged a customer. It's important now that we make that the cornerstone. Because if you get that right, and all of us here will agree, why do you keep walking into a Starbucks coffee? You know it's overpriced, but why do you do it? Because it's the whole experience, it's the whole service rendition that you appreciate, and you're willing to pay a premium for it. That's the whole idea. Therefore, I think from whether we are in service, whether we are in marketing, we need to understand that service has become the cornerstone.
Just to add to what Mousumi is saying, the word customer experience, the word experience altogether is something, and with the digital age, right, wherein everybody before making a purchase, like you rightly said, would like to see what was the experience of the previous person who has already used it or purchased it. And through digital age, everybody wants, and this is even as a consumer, I would prefer instant gratification. And this instant gratification is something which digital age has brought into existence. There are various touch points now available. Earlier, it was more of contact center, chatbot, and so on. But now with social media, WhatsApp, and other omni-channels which is available, instant gratification is available, instant feedback is available. There's a lot of data cuts which is available, not only at the consumer side, but also at the entrepreneur side. Because over here, you can understand the psychology of the consumer. You can, personalize the entire experience accordingly. So all these things have evolved through this digital age.
So we are an NBFC, Cashe is an NBFC, and the whole journey for a customer is purely on a digital app, right? So whether you go on Android or iOS. So for us, marketing and customer experience becomes most important because customer needs to actually download the app and start the journey. So if we have to talk about customer experience at the top of the funnel makes a lot of importance because customer ultimately has to come, start with the financials with us, give him an experience that, okay, it's a trustworthy, you can avail a loan from us. The experience is going to be really good. Definitely, we are giving him the help as in a form of a loan where, he's not going to get it from elsewhere from a bank or any other financials because of his maybe bad credit score. So experience definitely, coming with your social medias, your chatbots, your Instagram, your Facebook, everything becomes really, really highly experienced for customers to give, how customer is going to go ahead with the journey and have more trust towards the brand.
So, so taking that forward, right? So can you share a couple of examples of campaigns that you've run where you've looked at the customer journey, the customer experience, and how you sort of integrated that into your content, right? Because I think that's one way to sort of, I know, I'm sure everybody's aware of the Dove campaigns, right? You used to have real women talking about the skin and so on and so forth, right? So how do you sort of look at for your brand and how do you sort of integrate that?
Thanks for that question because earlier, in my earlier role, I was very much clued on to the voice of customer. I think that is the starting point, and that should become the starting point for all our campaigns. I'll give you a case in point. In life insurance, the biggest moment of truth, anybody in this room will also agree, is that should something unforeseen happen to the person who's taken the insurance cover, the confidence that the person needs to have to say, my family financially will be taken care of. That's the reason why I'm buying a life insurance, right? So that's the key moment of truth. As an organization, financial responsibility lies with the organization to ensure that the financial blanket or the amount is paid off to the family. Having said that, is it enough to just relinquish responsibility at financial responsibility alone? Because we are not robots, or we are not, without emotion or empathy. The brand comes across empathetic if you go one step beyond. And I'm really happy to share this with you and everybody else in this room, is that in that role of mine, I had crafted something called grief counseling. And we tied up with the best psychologists in the country, and we've done it with our Empower, which is Mrs. Birla's, group. And we tied up to offer this as a service free of cost to those who would want to take or make available this service. So essentially what we are saying is we've moved one step beyond financial responsibility to say that we understand that maybe your near and dear ones may not get where you're coming from. Giving you the service in the utmost privacy that you require is something that we as a brand want to do. We took this messaging, and if anybody has seen the Supriya, narrative that the campaign that we'd launched for our advisors, it seeds in that learning to say, this is how we should appear as a brand. This is what we offer to you as a brand. It's not in your face, but it's something that as a brand we are extremely proud of, extending that beyond financial responsibility. So that's one of the key areas that I think I'd like to bring across.
As rightly said, the starting point for running or curating any campaign, is the voice of the customer. Now, there are various touch points, as we earlier discussed, through which what's the pulse of the customer. Accordingly, if you have to curate the campaign in such a manner that it directly appeals to customers. Now, curating these campaigns, also have to choose the right channel which will be more effective. It is not that you can have one particular flat channel or the campaign running across all the channels together, because then it will directly impact your ROI. And again, if it impacts your ROI, for you to run the campaign again on a second time will be our obligation towards the organization. So first is, understanding the voice of the customer, curating the campaign rightly, looking at the effectiveness, and then deciding which platform you would like to run it. Whether it should be on, social media, WhatsApp, or it should be a plain email blast, SMS blast, which will be the most effective way. Accordingly, you will also have to, look at the segment of customers that you are targeting, whether it's a tier 3 customer, whether it's a tier 2 customer, or whether it's a urban customer. Now, basis of that, customer segmentation, you will then have to choose the right mode, because if you're doing an email blast to a tier 3 customer, that entire campaign will be off.
Rightly mentioned earlier also that we've been always doing some offers running. You'll have a PF waiver, or you'll have an Amazon voucher, or, different ones. But they really do not end up, getting more customers to start transacting with you at any given point of time. So then we just thought of that, just doing all digital marketing across Google, Facebook, Insta. We're just blowing up money. So then we just internally sat together and said that to make sure that customers get trust towards the brand, we picked up our own customers as a campaign, right? So we started asking our own customers, because our target audience is purely, the young guys who are like 20, 30 years old. They agree to do some campaigns with us. We started making reels across, because nowadays it's a trend of having reels on Instagram, right? And that really worked well for us, where they became the ambassador for us as our brand, where they started talking, getting referrals for us. And that is how we could, touch base with our correct target audience, basically. So internally, our own customers became our, voice for the brand.
So I think one clear insight sort of comes out is that while we decide the cohorts that we want to attack when it comes to sort of reaching out, it is important to understand which cohort vis-a-vis the channel that you're reaching out to, right? I think that really becomes important. So that sort of segues into the next question, right? Because what we're looking at is, while you've done that segmentation, you've looked at the right cohorts, how do you then measure the ROI of that particular campaign that you've created, focused from a customer experience standpoint, right? What are the different KPIs that you're looking at to really judge the effectiveness of that? Because at the end of the day, what you're looking at is you put some money in, right? You want to understand what's the effectiveness. So how do you sort of look at that and evaluate that?
Yeah, so two important metrics that anybody would look at is the cost per acquisition, right? Because you might blow up, like Komal clearly pointed out, blowing up money is so easy today. Whether you talk about various channels, you can go ahead and invest, but you need to know where is your target audience going. If my target audience is 18 to 30-year-old and I'm going on Facebook, maybe I would like to tone that down and go to Insta and work on that strategy, right? So clearly important to look at cost per acquisition. And while on it, important also to know that all of us have, a large database of existing customers. And we all know this is a fact, that they are 14 times more likely to buy another product from us if they consider us to be a trustworthy brand, a brand that they would want to continue to be associated with. So important part of it is to look at lifetime value of the customer. So if he or she, and especially in financial services, I can tell you that it's not like you've bought a product today, you're going to buy one more tomorrow. Unlikely. But having said that, if we do not segment and do not, look at customers as N, each customer is equal to N, where maybe, somebody who's come up from a tier 2 or tier 3 city has a huge amount of responsibility, being the eldest in the family, and therefore has to take care of everything. We've done this research and seen that they are more likely to take a housing loan and as the first financial product of purchase. Whereas that same cut age bracket, who's not got all those baggages behind them, is likely to look at possibly, try their hand on equity. So different strokes for different folks has to be the mantra. And today's day and age, when you have so much of technology available, so much of data available, the need of the hour is to look at how do we make it a lot more custom. Each customer has to get an offer which he or she feels, okay, they seem to know what I want. At least that kind of starts the conversation in the right direction. So I feel that cost per acquisition and customer lifetime value needs to be the key matrix on which each of our campaigns need to be pivoted on. Otherwise, we are going to be all over the park spending money without knowing how are we going to show the ROI for it. So those would be the key factors.
I think on a lighter note, you've made all the Facebook users feel very old. So yeah, so I think we'll all delete our Facebook profiles now. Good.
Well, one of the products for my company is digital gold savings, and we are into B2B2C platform. Now, being into B2B2C, our tie-up is into microfinance, and then our product is bundled for savings. Now, the biggest challenge is when it comes to savings, savings takes a backseat, especially for a tier 3 city customer, because their priority is then to pay the EMI first and then start the savings. Over here, as you rightly mentioned again, acquiring new customer is one piece, but you have a larger pool of dormant customers. Now, and this is not only for my industry, I'm sure it is across all platforms. So how do we tackle with dormant customers? One is to continuously engage with them, nurture them. And to do that, running one campaign and then looking at ROI will not happen. It'll happen at a due course of time. So to give you an example, there was a campaign that I was running, just to collect payments from customer for savings. And this is the first time that we were using a WhatsApp platform, especially for a tier 3 customers based out of South of India. For them, we had a huge base of customers wherein we did a blast of close to 1 lakh. In the first month, we just received some, payments from 100 customers. But eventually that kept growing. So our gauging ROI in the very first instance won't happen. It'll happen eventually because customers have to get used to it. Second thing is it's money that customers are dealing with. When if you're spending something, you want to be sure whether it's in the right hand. But running similar campaign in an urban city, you will get instant gratification even on the organization side as well as at the customer side.
For us, definitely, as mentioned by my panelist also, is like definitely cost of acquisition is the most important key, because that is where your P&L is hit, right? Even if you have to look at the top line, bottom line both needs to be taken care of on this piece. But for ROI, definitely after the campaign, which is, which we run, we figure out that first is important is that, how many customers you've acquired from this particular campaign, whether they are the good set of customers which we really want to lend or not, that becomes more important. Definitely the resolution time taken, the journey time for a customer taken, all these are the very different points which is very important while you're running the campaign. Customer satisfaction, whether he was really, really, good enough to take up your offer and even go ahead and complete, the journey and avail the loan. So there are different, aspect to it. Definitely it starts from acquisition till this customer satisfaction. The whole journey is between these two ones only.
Right, thanks. I think no conversation is complete without talking about technology. And now with Gen AI and various different aspects that we're now looking at, right? So in your point of view, right, how do we look at the role of technology when you're actually crafting some of these, the content, some of the product consumption, and how do you look at that supporting from the point of view of customer service, right?
So right now the buzzword is Gen AI, no doubt. But having said that, a lot of companies have been working on looking at speech to text, looking at the ability to ensure that, we have the best response managements in place for customer service. The big lift that we are going to get from Gen AI is essentially to look at, and we've just, in fact, as of yesterday, we were just discussing that itself, to say how, when social media responses come in, we should look at an immediate response, right? Now, as the volumes go up, dependency on humans to be able to churn that out in less than a few minutes is quite a task. And that means you'll have to add to your overhead costs. Now, if I was to look at the situation with Gen AI, the point remains that you can get those instant communication going. Of course, there has to be guardrails of the human being able to check the responses because you don't want an incorrect response going. But having said that, if the first draft, where it takes time to craft, is done instantly, then the matter of checking or validation becomes hardly a matter of few more minutes. So this is how the shift is happening in terms of service. A large plethora of regular requests, regular services, which do not require much complexities. Okay, it's a simple process. The customer's asked for a tax certificate, you need to just go ahead and give it. Now, in such situations, automation was already in place, but that was for a single request. Now, if the customer's asking for 3 things in one communication, now the email bot would be confused because they don't know which one to prioritize. Thanks to Gen AI, that no longer becomes a challenge. You will be able to ensure that you deliver on complex requests at even more faster speed than you used to. And we are talking about multiplier effect here. We are not talking about an incremental 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. We are talking about a multiplier effect in terms of being able to respond. So I feel that, yes, the response times are going to become really, really fast if they haven't already. And second, the quality of response. But I would also like to add a caveat saying that everything can't be done by a bot. Somewhere or the other, there has to be a human at the end of the funnel where if you are not getting the level of satisfaction that a customer wants, he or she should not leave us frustrated, saying that I'm only talking to a bot, where's the human in this entire interaction? So somewhere, if it fails, every company must have that last fail-safe of the human connect. And that I feel, as customer experience professionals, we must be cognizant of that.
Now, what I feel is AI is basically an enabler, right? Now, how does it help is in effective communication. Now, also looking at, what is your customer base? What is the customer that you're looking at? Accordingly, you will need to place the support of AI. Depending on a, say, segment of urban customer, you cannot just leave solely on a AI. You would definitely require effective communication with a lot of data being backed to the representative who's engaging with the customer. But when it comes to a tier 3 segment customer, over there, the effective communication will be part of it. But again, over there, vernacular language is something which will be required, for which the AI has to evolve. The AI has to be equipped enough to communicate effectively with the customer. And that evolving or that evolution will happen in due course of time. As of now, AI is in its infant stage. With this, with AI being backed, all that's going to happen is the effective communication being taken to another level, wherein the historical data will be present, wherein the campaigns can run successfully. There would be a lot of communication that can go seamlessly to the customers at different levels.
Definitely the AI automation, all the data science across all the companies will just work on data mining, giving us an input, which segment to be catered to, which target audience works well for us, which city, which PIN codes specifically are good enough for us. We have a good set of customers in those. But this definitely AI has helped us a lot because we've been able to do, alternate, scorings on these customers. And that is how we've been able to do alternate underwriting on the customer. And we've been able to give loans to those kind of segments. This AI has also helped us to make automations on, making a personalization on, the messages which we send out to the customer. At each journey, the customer drops out specific messages being sent out to the customer saying that, hey, look, this is what is required from you to complete and go ahead. Definitely, it is helping, and the customer service also it's helping, because if somebody is just asking, as you mentioned, that if somebody wants a statement of account or probably wants NOC from us, the chatbot is easily able to help us and just finish off the query at a given point of time. So definitely it has both the ways. It is good and bad, because of AI people are also losing jobs, but it's also helping us where we are able to cater to a lot of queries in fractions of seconds.
Okay, thanks. So I think the clear takeaway, and thank you so much for your insights, is that we have to look at customer experience to drive the way that we are setting up and customizing our marketing campaigns, right? From the time we do brand awareness to the time post-purchase, I think CX certainly has to be at the top of the funnel, and that's how you sort of go forward. So I would like to thank my panelists. Thank you so much for an engaging discussion. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much, folks, for listening.